Hello, this is Miss Karen from North Riverside Public Library. I'm going to read you a story in honor of Black History Month in the month of February. This is about Malcolm X. Civil rights crusader. Malcolm X spent many years speaking about the importance of civil rights for all. At first, he disagreed with other leaders in the civil rights movement about integration. He believed in Black pride and keeping Black people and white people separate. He also disagreed with the idea of bringing about change through peaceful actions. He said Blacks needed freedom, justice, and equality by all means necessary. Later experiences changed his mind. He began working with, instead of against, other civil rights leaders. Malcolm X was murdered in 1965, but his work and his ideas live on. His early life of Malcolm X began life as Malcolm Little. He was born in Nebraska on May 19, 1925. He had 7 brothers and sisters. His father, Earl, was a minister. His mother, Louise, took care of the family. When Malcolm was about 4, the family moved to Michigan. Earl Little talked about Black pride. He believed Blacks would never be treated fairly in the United States. Earl said they could only receive justice by living in Africa. These ideas angered many people. When Malcolm was just 6 years old, Earl died. His family believed Earl's enemies had killed him. Let freedom ring. When Malcolm was growing up, many places in the United States were segregated. African Americans faced discrimination in all parts of life. Prison brings changes. As a teenager, Malcolm worked in Boston, Massachusetts, then in New York City. When he moved back to Boston, Malcolm began stealing and selling drugs. In 1946, he went to prison. While Malcolm was in prison, his brother, Reginald, told him about the Nation of Islam, NOI, and its leader, Elijah Muhammad. Followers were called Black Muslims. They believed that whites kept Blacks unequal and that Blacks needed a separate state. Malcolm joined the NOI. He changed his last name to X. In 1952, he got out of prison. Let freedom ring. Many members of the Nation of Islam used the last name X. They said their real African names were lost when past family members became slaves. Working, working for the NOI. Malcolm traveled around the country sharing the NOI's message. He tried to get others to become Black Muslims. Although many people thought NOI's ideas were hateful, other Blacks agreed with those ideas. Malcolm soon became more popular than other leaders of the NOI. Malcolm discovered that Elijah Muhammad had broken some of the NOI's rules. Elijah tried to stop Malcolm from telling others about his wrongdoing. However, Malcolm wouldn't be quiet. Let freedom ring. Malcolm gave speeches for the NOI from 1952 to 1963. He was such a wonderful speaker that NOI membership grew from 500 to 30,000 during that time. Changing ideas. In 1964, Malcolm left the NOI and formed Muslim Mosque Incorporated. This group worked with other civil rights groups. Malcolm's life changed when he visited the Muslim holy city of Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Malcolm said that he met blonde-haired, blue-eyed men I could call my brothers. He realized he'd been wrong to think that all whites were evil. Malcolm stopped blaming them for the problems of black people. Instead, he talked about tolerance and working together. He changed his name to El Hajj Malik E. Shabazz. Let freedom ring. Malcolm married Betty Sanders in 1958. They had 6 daughters. Betty and the children changed their last name to Shabazz when Malcolm did. There's 2 of his daughters. More changes, more troubles. In 1965, Malcolm started the Organization of Afro-American Unity, OAAU. He wanted the whole world to know about the civil rights problems blacks had in the United States. Malcolm also began speaking about how to improve life for other minority groups. Malcolm disagreed with Elijah and the NOI even more now. He was warned that members of the NOI wanted to kill him. In February 1965, Malcolm's home was set on fire. Malcolm and his family escaped, but the danger wasn't over. Let freedom ring. Malcolm had to travel with bodyguards to keep him safe from members of the NOI. The end comes too soon. On February 21st, 1965, people filled the Audubon Ballroom in New York City. Everyone waited to hear Malcolm's words. Those words never came. Instead, the people heard loud gunshots. Malcolm X was dead. Malcolm's wife and their 4 daughters were there. A few months later, Betty gave birth to twin girls. They never got to meet their father. More than 1,500 people went to Malcolm's funeral in Harlem. It was also shown on TV. Let freedom ring. Usually workers dig the grave in which a person is buried. Instead, Malcolm's friends did this sad job themselves. This is a picture of Malcolm X that was taken just 11 days before his death in 1965. Malcolm's work lives on. Today, many people know about the life and message of Malcolm X. The autobiography of Malcolm X was published in 1965. Malcolm had been working on the book with writer Alex Haley up until his death. In 1962, Spike Lee, a famous movie director, made a movie called Malcolm X based on this book. There are also plans to build a Malcolm X museum in Harlem. There, visitors will be able to see photos of Malcolm X and some of his original papers. Let freedom ring. 3 men from the NOI were charged with Malcolm X's murder. They all went to jail for the crime. The last one got out of prison in 2010, just 11 years ago. The timeline. In 1925, Malcolm Little is born on May 19th in Nebraska. In 1931, Earl Little, Malcolm's father, dies. In 1946, Malcolm goes to prison. In 1952, Malcolm changes his last name to X. In 1958, Malcolm marries Betty Sanders. 1964, Malcolm leaves the NOI. He starts Muslim Mosque Incorporated and the OAAU. In 1965, Malcolm X is murdered on February 21st. The autobiography of Malcolm X is published. That is it. That is an interesting information and story about Malcolm X. Something new I learned, and I hope you did too. Thank you for listening. We'll see you again soon.